Revelation 2403, from the 10th of July 1942. Divine Spiritual Work. Fighting against lies and error. The Spirit of God descends from bright heights to bring light into the darkness of the earth. And He fills the hearts of those who desire to walk in the light and carry it further. To walk in the light means to be knowledgeable, to be in the eternal truth, to stand in right thinking and to receive divine wisdom. Thus the Spirit of God always and constantly distributes the truth from God to people. It enlightens them and gives them knowledge in all areas and answers to all spiritual questions. The Spirit from God never errs but gives the eternal truth in a clearly understandable way to people who desire to receive truth. And there are no limits to this receiving, for divine gift can be received without limit since it is something perfect and all imitation or restriction is never in harmony with perfection. However, divine spiritual activity can only manifest itself where a human being strives towards perfection, for this is the prerequisite that the being is seriously concerned about coming close to the eternal deity, who thus consciously strives towards a state which eliminates imperfections and faults. The will to become perfect is therefore the first condition if the Spirit of God is to pour over the human being. And the human being has to let this will become active and make an effort to live a way of life which is wanted by God. He must lead a life of love and unity with God, he must fight all evil urges, strive for everything divine and good and thus shape himself such that he becomes a receptacle for the Divine Spirit, so that its activity will not encounter any obstacles and can pour out in abundance into the vessel, which opens itself to him, into the heart of the perfection-seeking human being who longs for wisdom from God. The Spirit of God works everywhere and unmistakably where the human being consciously wants to serve God, because God needs bearers of truth on earth who offer to pass on the truth. Only few people recognize the significance of this task and therefore only few people offer themselves to God for this service. And again the will has to decide to serve of its own accord. This willingness to serve results in the granting of graces which the human being can hardly measure, for God's love seizes him and trains him for a task which is of immense importance. The 10th of July 1942, the battle must be waged against the lie, against error on earth, and in its place the pure truth from God must be spread amongst people. For this purpose error has to be eliminated and therefore first recognized as error. And this, in turn, is only possible when truth is confronted with error, thus truth can displace the lie. Truth must speak for itself in such a way that error is gladly given up for it. The lie and error belong to earth, but truth comes from above and has to be conveyed to earth, and this by willing beings who serve God. In the same way, however, the truth has to be received on earth by people who are willing to be of service. Only the subordination of the will to divine will results in the strength from God, His Spirit, being able to flow from being to being and thus also to earth. And this influx of strength expresses itself in the human being as increased knowledge, as realization of the eternal deity. The human being is introduced to divine truth through the Spirit from God, which descends upon those people who longingly and faithfully desire the working of the Spirit for the purpose of enlightening those people who are still completely ignorant. Amen.